Good evening, Dhamma friends. Wish you the blessings of the Noble Triple Gem for a happy and peaceful evening with the noble teaching of the Buddha. We are going to begin this evening Sutta study class. It is Saturday, February 4th. It is a memorable day for everyone. I know that many of those friends who participate in the Sutta discussion are Sri Lankans and thinking about the Sri Lanka, you all celebrated, I mean, for saying we had the celebration of the independence, despite it is in a desperate situation as a country. The liberation, according to us, is the liberation from unwholesome thoughts. The liberation or the freedom, or whatever words you use for this, should be meaningful to us by every means. And when we come to the Dhamma, vimukti or the liberation means taking us to a particular peaceful state and enjoy the life with wholesome qualities. The peak of this liberation is nirvana. Before the nirvana, there are other, the glimpse of nirvana in different stages of practice. So we are a type of people who understand the word liberation by every means, so that I just wanted to remind you that this kind of weekly practices help you understand the whole truth about life and the universe and liberate yourself from all kinds of problems. So with that in mind, let's begin today's Sutta studies. First of all, we are going to respect the Supreme Buddha by reciting Namo Tassa. With that, we begin the Sutta studies. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. Namo Tassa Bhagavato Arahato Samma Sambuddhassa. Namo Tassa Bhagavato Arahato Samma Sambuddhassa. Namo Tassa Bhagavato Arahato Samma Sambuddhassa. Homage to the Blessed One, the Worthy One, the fully enlightened One. Homage to the Blessed One, the Worthy One, the fully enlightened One. Homage to the Blessed One, the Worthy One, the fully enlightened One. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. You are once again warmly welcome to this evening Sutta studies. Let us begin our discussion on the selected Sutta. As you all know, the Sutta we selected is from Majjhima Nikaya. The Sutta number is 144, and its title is The Advice to Channa, Channovada Sutta. This appeared to be an advice from the Buddha, but when you go into the discourse, it's not the Buddha who questioned Venerable Channa, but very great monks of the Sasana, including Venerable Sariputta. But we come across the Buddha's participation in the discourse so that it is considered a discourse delivered by the Buddha and also Venerable Sariputta and including the other monk and Venerable Channa. So this gives us a very nice piece of Dhamma, not only one, maybe a couple of. And it is a sutta in many discussions, particularly about the subject called suicide. In the entire Tripitaka, you come across some discourses like this, and they are always debatable because of the Dhamma pacts they provide for disciples. So the reason why I selected this discourse is one of the very beautiful passage of Dhamma, and it will be in the in the later part of the discourse, I thought that I should give this you to understand and elaborate it in details, so that the beautiful Dhamma come out of it. So that's why I selected it. As I said, this is the Sutta for many scholars to take it in and discuss many aspects, including suicide. So Venerable Channa, by this name, you basically know the Channa who helped the Prince Siddhartha to renounce his lay life, and that's one of the Channas. But it is not this Channa that we talk about in the Sutta. It's a different Channa. The Channa who helped the Bodhisattva to go to the forest became a monk as well, but his destiny was different from this one. As you know, even when the Buddha passed away, that particular Channa was in the order as a monk, but he was given a punishment, what we call in Pali and Sinhala Brahma Danda. Nobody talked to that particular Channa who helped Siddhartha because of his arrogance, because of his behavior, which even Buddha could not admonish. So that that Channa was different from this Channa. And there are other Channas. In that case, this name Channa has been like common name like Peter, Anna, John in this society. These names are very common. Likewise, Channa, it would be a very famous name which were used by many people in that society. Let's go to the discourse. Thus I have heard at one time that the Buddha was staying in the squirrel feeding ground in the bamboo grove near Rajagaha. Actually, when I go to Rajgir, in Rajgir you have that Gijakuta, and you have Nalanda University, and some other places. We come across many discourses the Buddha delivered there, and it's a great thing to reflect the Dhamma there. So when I read this sutta, I remember the bamboo grove. Still they have some bamboo, and the place where the Buddha delivered the Dhamma, and also the place where Venerable Sariputta started his mission was Nalanda. So it's close to Rajgiri, and I remember this place very much. So while the Buddha was there, the Venerable Sariputta and Mahachunda, they are brothers by birth. Mahachunda and Venerable Sariputta. Venerable Sariputta is the big brother, and the younger brother is Venerable Chunda. And you know the fact, that Venerable Sariputta's 4 sisters and 3 brothers, all 8, became monks and nuns in the order, and they were all arhats at the end. But as you know, the mother of Venerable Sariputta, the mother of 8 disciples of the Buddha, did not claim as a Buddhist until the last moment of Venerable Sariputta. The mother was a follower of Brahma, and she thought that the Brahma created the world, and she believed it. And that's a different story. Mahachunda here in the Sutta and with Venerable Sariputta came to know about Venerable Channa's situation. So Venerable Sariputta and Venerable Mahachunda and Venerable Channa were residing on Vulture's Peak, Gijakuta. At that time, Venerable Channa was painfully ill, gravely ill. Then when it was evening, the Venerable Sariputta emerged from his retreat and went up to the Venerable Mahachunda. Having gone up to the Venerable Mahachunda, he said this. So do you see that even Arahants practice meditation on everyday basis? Not because they have to understand more, but that's the way of Arahants. They always like to reflect what they have already done I always compare this to a very talented musician. For example, there is a guitarist, and he's a master on that. What he does always is taking the guitar and play, just because he likes to play. Similar to that, the Arahants always meditate. There is no problem for them to find peace and happiness in the meditation, because their mind is crystal clear. No unwholesomeness exists in their mind at all, because the greed, hatred, and ignorance are pulled out from their mind completely. So the meditation is always there in their mind up to the right and accurate point. So Venerable Sariputta was in the meditation, and soon after that, he went to Venerable Mahachunda with him. They both went to Venerable Channa, because there is a particular behavior of Venerable Sariputta that is about looking at other monks in the monastery healings. Whoever it is, he goes and help. He nursed other monks always. If there is no accommodation for other monks to stay overnight, he might give his room and stay outside under a tree. That type of monk was Venerable Sariputta. There are a lot of nice things we could learn from Venerable Sariputta's life story. Then Venerable Sariputta had a difficult conversation with Venerable Channa, and then we find that Venerable Channa was ill, and he was explaining his painful experience. It's very typical that basically it's a severe, very, very painful experience. Even though it is painful, they were explaining what kind of feeling they have and so forth. I cannot bear it. I'm not getting better. My pain are not subsiding, but rising. Their rising is evident, not they are subsiding. Violent winds are cutting through my head like a strong man cleaving it open with a sharp sword. So if you read the sutta, there are a few lines of this explanation about his illness, and they are all saying that the pain is not bearable. In a situation where one experiences unbearable pain, basically they scream, they become fainted, they become unconscious, because when the pain is severe, either way it should go. Perhaps they become unconscious, or they cry and throw your hands here and there. So try to overcome the pain by doing such things. Here, since Venerable Chan was a very good monk, according to the stories, he had some discipline about his behavior. Perhaps up to this point, he has understood a lot of Dhamma theoretically as well as into a practical level, so that the way he bore the pain is different from the average person. Anyhow, he said that it's unbearable. Pain is so much so that it's like taking me by a strong man and put me into a charcoal pit. So burning. So there are such incident, such information here in the sutta. Then Venerable Sariputta said, before that, Venerable Channa said that I'm going to use a knife to end my life. I have no desire to live. So in the Tripitaka, we can find a couple of discourses where some monks committed suicide just because of the severe pain. Godika, and this Chan, and there are other incidents, and it is a different discussion whether this is Dhamma-centered or not, whether this is agreeable by the Dhamma or not. Anyhow, Venerable Channa says, I will use a knife. Also, Sariputta, I have no desire to live. Due to the pain of this life, there is no use of living in this life, so that I'm going to cut my throat myself and finish my life. Then Venerable Sariputta, uh, asked not to do that, because Venerable Chan, if Venerable Chan lives, it would be good for Venerable Chan as well as others, and we like you. In a certain way, it says that Venerable Sariputta tried very much to appreciate living than dying, because of the benefits the particular person could get, and also everyone else around. We all know that killing living beings is it's a major violation of moral principles as well as the common law, and killing himself is also part of real bad karma, because it's your life. However, killing with assassination, with committing suicide, you don't have compassion and kindness. You may not be able to take those beautiful dhamma into application at the time you kill yourself. So that based on self identity views, you do that, so that it also has ignorance, and you might feel unpleasant feeling at the time you either jump from a cliff or to a water, or maybe you set on fire. So at the time you do that, you might have some unwholesome thought in mind. Perhaps it could be other way around. So it's not, we cannot give a yes or no answer for that, but depending on certain situation, in many cases in the society with average people, unwholesomeness might arise in mind when you do that. So that in Buddhism, in Buddhist discourses, there is no clear indication that the Buddha admired this, no matter what circumstances are there. However, the commentary gives some implication that committing suicide happened during the time of the Buddha among bhikkhus, and also it happens in average society, but Buddha did not give a clear answer that it is possible, it is Dhamma-centered. He didn't say much about it, because he has already told us that ending a life like that is not good, because you come to this life with so much merit, and it is your personal responsibility to make it more Dhamma-centered. And our whole effort is to end the samsara, and living even for 1 minute or 2 minutes might give you an opportunity to create kusala, so that hanging on this life is the most important thing. Anyway, Venerable Sariputta, with these things in mind, might try to tell Venerable Channa not to do that. However, it's not the point for Venerable Channa. He always thought about cutting his throat himself and die. And that would be the only way for Venerable Channa to see, in order for him to get out of this problem. Anyhow, we see that the conversation is going on. If the Venerable Chan lacks suitable food, I will go in search of suitable food for the Venerable Chan. If the Venerable Chan lacks suitable medicine, I will go in search of suitable medicine for the Venerable Chan. If the Venerable Chan lacks a proper attendant, I will attend to the Venerable Chan. Let the Venerable Chan not use a knife. Let the Venerable Chan live. So Venerable Sariputta was trying to provide everything Venerable Channa needs in order for him to impress about life. But it was not the real problem Venerable Channa had, according to the conversation. Also, Sariputta, it is not that I lack suitable food. Know that I lack suitable medicine, nor do I lack a proper attendant. But rather also Sariputta, long have I waited upon the teacher in a satisfactory manner, not otherwise. For it is proper for a disciple to wait upon the teacher in a satisfactory manner, no otherwise. Also, Sariputta, please remember this. It is without blame that the monk Channa will use the time. So Venerable Channa confirmed, Venerable Sariputta, that I don't have any problem with any of those things you mentioned. Food, medicine, attendance. I am satisfied with this. Throughout my life as a monk, I always respect the Buddha. I always respect the Sangha. I always, uh, was there for them. And in return, I got the same thing. I was treated by the Buddha and other monks as a brother, as a good monk, so that I am fulfilled with everything. So remember, Sahariputta, that I am going to, if I die by this way, there is no blame for myself or anyone else. If the Venerable Channa grant us leave to do so, we would like to question the Venerable Channa regarding some points to clarify a problem. So this is a very remarkable place in the Dharma. Suppose you have a friend who is severely ill. What you need to do with the Dharma there is questioning about his Dharma. The person who is sick should be questioned to know what exactly he has in his mind in the name of Dhamma. In this case, Venerable Sariputta and Mahachunda were to question Venerable Channa to know what exactly Venerable Channa understood in the Dhamma based on his monastic life. It is a thing that usually we do because it shows how that particular person understand life. So that is what we have here. So if you don't mind, we will ask some questions about you, about your mind, about everything we want, and please answer. This is not a normal situation, because when we go to a sick person, we might be talking about something normal, something mundane. For example, suppose you go to the hospital to see your friend who is sick. You might be talking about various other things, not the Dhamma. It's not a tradition of average human beings to talk about something spiritual too much when they go to see a patient. But where we see a different thing when we search on our disciples' life. They always put their conversation limited to Dhamma. So Venerable Sariputta is starting asking some questions. What are the questions he asked? Also, Channa, do you regard the I consciousness, and that which is cognizable through I consciousness, that thus this is mine, this I am, this is myself? And then discussion goes on ear and ear consciousness, and then nose and nose consciousness, and then tongue and tongue consciousness, and the body and body consciousness, and also mind and mind consciousness, and with regard to perception about it, and so on. Yeah. So Venerable Sariputta asks, do you consider that your eyes, ears, nose, tongue, body, and mind are as yours? Do you think that these six senses are yours? Or do you think that they belong to you? Do you think that there is a self, permanent entity in eyes, ears, nose, tongue, body, and mind? Venerable Channa, do you consider or regard that eye consciousness, ear consciousness, nose consciousness, tongue consciousness, body consciousness, and mind consciousness as yours? Or do you live in that? Do you think that there is self in that? Do you consider anything regard to eye consciousness, ear consciousness? Or do you regard anything you cognize through ear consciousness is yours, or it belongs to you, and so on? In Pali it says, do you think that etang mama eso hamasmi eso miyattati? Do you consider that senses, six senses, and their respective consciousness, and anything absorb or conceive through six senses as I, me, and myself? Look at the answer of Venerable Channa. Also, Sariputta, I regard the eye, ear, the nose, the tongue, the body, the mind, and their respective consciousness, and anything conceived through consciousness as not mine, not I am, not myself. In this case, one might say that one might tell lies. Yeah, in the Buddha's time and today, due to the intents of arguing, some people say that I don't have any problem, any hindrances. I am telling this to you with full understanding. During the time of the Buddha, there were some monks and nuns claimed their arahantship, not being an arahant. And even in today's society, we see that they claim as arahant, but they lack of showing the qualities of an arahant by their behavior. So in each era, there are people who claim arahantship and other stages of enlightenment, not being in that state. So there is a possibility of lying, particularly in front of Venerable Sariputta or any arahants, who may not be able to see others' mind exactly as they are, might be telling lies. But in this case, Venerable Channa was severely sick. They are very desperate about, he is not feeling good, and there is no point for him to tell a lie. So what Venerable Channa says, I do not think that these six senses and respective consciousness and anything pursued through consciousness are not mine, I'm not there, and they are not myself. What is this? It is about not having sakkaya ditthi on anything. It is not about sakkaya ditthi and other unwholesomeness about himself. That's what it means in a simple word. So Channa directly knows cessation. He further continues. The next question, Venerable Sariputta asks, also Channa, what have you seen and directly known in the eye consciousness, and that which is cognizable through eye consciousness, that you regard thus, this is not mine, this I am not, this is not myself. So the confirmation is taken over and over again like this. You are now, Venerable Channa, you are saying that you don't have any idea like this belong to me, this is I am, this is not myself, with regard to all the senses, sensory consciousness, and anything come through consciousness. And you are saying that they are not mine, they are not, I don't have stuck over there, and anything come through these consciousness are not taken as I, me, and myself. Is this what you are telling? Venerable Channa, confirm it again. Yes, that's what I am telling. I don't have any view like this over anything, any senses, any sensory consciousness, and anything come through consciousness. How do you say? The next question Venerable Sariputta put forward is, how do you say this? How do you come to this kind of view? to tell that they are not mine, this I am not, and this is not myself. How do you say it? It is through practice. Also, Sariputta, it is through seeing and direct knowing, cessation in the eye consciousness, and also anything cognizable through eye consciousness. I regard this. This is not mine. This I am not. This is not myself. So how do I know it? Venerable Chanda continues. How do I know it? It is through seeing and directly knowing. Janato pasito, in other words. So I do not based on the Buddha's words on this regard. I do not based on anyone else. I based on my own experience and seeing and knowing about eyes, about ears, about other senses, about the consciousness, about anything come through consciousness. I saw them. They are breaking apart. They are impermanent. They are, therefore, I see them as not mine, not I am there, and not myself. So when you see something from your own experience, there is no one to change you. Suppose we all walk out in minus 40 degree. If you have worked out with such weather conditions, you know how it is. It's terrible. And then when you say it to somebody, you know what you are talking about, despite whether the other person is not understood. So we have eaten very salty food, and you might take it into your mouth, but it's difficult to swallow because it's so salty. And when you go to explain it, you have no words to explain it, but you might say it's terrible, it's not eatable, and it's so salty. That kind of words you use. But practically, the real problem with salty food is not coming from your words. The difficulty is not coming from your word. I'm trying to give you kind of idea that Venerable Chan is saying that I do not have any view like this is mine, this is I am, this is myself with regard to senses and consciousness and anything come through consciousness, just because I have seen the real nature of the senses and respective other things with senses, so that I know from my own experience that there is no self, there is no I, there is no mind things with regard to anything. So after that, Venerable Sariputta got the confirmation of everything Venerable Channa says. Then Mahachunda come to the party. He was silent throughout this conversation. So far now, Mahachunda is giving kind of advice to Venerable Channa like this. Therefore, also, Channa, this teaching of the Buddha should be constantly considered. In my personal view, Venerable Sariputta and Venerable Chunda, despite their arhanships, are not knowing what exactly the situation of Venerable Channa's mind. There are arahants who doesn't know that. Cheto Pariyaya Jnana, and other special knowledges about knowing others' mind was only with some the Buddha and few other monks. Not Venerable Sariputta and Mahachunda are not eminent monks on this regard. So that the Sutta says that Venerable Sariputta or Mahachunda did not know how exactly Venerable Channa's mind transform into such state. And the commentary here says that Venerable Channa is still not an arahant. He was a very eminent monk in this regard. That's why he's talking about non-self nature of his own body and mind. Anyway, Venerable Mahachunda came here to say that you should reflect like following. There is wavering in one who is dependent. Actually, Venerable Chunda is now talking about something very important. I told you at the beginning of the discussion, this passage is really fascinating for me, and I think you will agree with me, because it is saying something very beautiful. This is what it is. There is wavering in one who is dependent. There is no wavering in one who is independent. When there is no wavering, there is tranquility. When there is tranquility, there is no inclination. When there is no inclination, there is neither coming nor going. When there is neither coming nor going, there is neither dying nor rising. When there is neither dying nor rising, there is no here, no beyond, no in between. This is the end of suffering. I like the Pali praise very much. Let me tell it to you if I find it here. Here it is. Tasma tiha avuso channa idam pitassa bhagavato sasanang nichakappang manasikatabbang. So Venerable Chunda is saying to Venerable Channa that whoever it is in the sasana, they always should think this, particularly in this kind of situation, nissitassa chalitang, anisitassa chalitang nati. If your mind wavering on some decision, like, in a terrible situation like this, if your mind change, earlier you were strong on certain aspect of good mind, but when situation come like terrible pain, losing of loved ones, losing your property, then your mind change. It means that your mind is wavering. But if your mind is not wandering or not wavering, not agitated over any difficult situation, it means that you are solid in the teaching. It means that you are solid on your practices. Nissitassa chalitang. When you depend on certain material things or immaterial things, your mind is going to be shakeable. In other words, if you have at least an iota of attachment, clinging, upadana, it comes to you in a different situation. Suffering might arise in you because you have attachment in you, you have clinging. But anisitasa chalitang nati. But when there is no way, any substance to waver your mind, when there is no possibility to shatter your mind, you are going to be solid. No matter what happened to your life, you are not going to wave. You are not going to shock yourself. In other words, when you have gone beyond the 8 worldly things, attaloka dharma, your mind is unwavering. Puttasa loka dhamme chittang yasana kampati. When you come to this state of mind, you are not going to worry about anything because you have gone beyond that level. Nissitasa chalitang, anisitasa chalitang nati. Chalite asati passaddi. So when your mind is not worrying about anything, your mind always inclined to tranquility. When there is tranquility, passadya sati nati nahote. When there is tranquility, it says that there is no you there. There is no problem at all there, because your mind is way beyond of the wavering state, so that your mind is tranquility. So you find no person at all there. I think it comes like this. Chalite asati passaddi, passadya sati nati nahoti, natya asati na agati gati nahoti. When you find no person in you, when you do not find you in you, in other words, there is no person who goes from this life to next life, and there is no person find at all anywhere. Agati gatiya asati chutupapato nahoti. So when you find out there is no one in this body, in this mind, there is no person die and reborn. Chutupapate asati navida nahurang na ubemantre. So in this regard, now you do not find anyone over. If I go back to the translation, there is wavering in one who is dependent. When there is no wavering in one who is there is no wavering in one who is independent. Sorry. When there is no wavering, there is tranquility. When there is tranquility, there is no inclination. There is no inclination. When there is no inclination, there is neither coming nor going. When there is neither coming nor going, there is neither dying nor rising. And when there is neither dying nor rising, there is no here, no beyond, no in between. This is the end of suffering. So, Buddha talks, Venerable Chan talks about, and Venerable Mahachunda talks about here the end of suffering in a different way, which is practical. When there is suffering, what we have is we accept the fact that I experience suffering. Let's say that I feel so desperate, embarrassed, frustrated, agitated. I'm so delighted. I'm so happy. In each of these statements, who is having this particular mentality, whether it is pleasant or unpleasant? The person called I. I feel so gorgeous. I feel so desperate. So the person I is finding that particular behavior in the mind or body. But when you do not find you in your particular activities, the person called I is not existed in the particular activity. Perhaps you might be thinking, you should think about this non-self nature from your own experience. Don't rely on my words. Perhaps you better have a very nice explanation, take them into mind, reflect it, because it's a very remarkable place in the Dhamma to show non-self nature. So Venerable Chunda asked Venerable Channa to reflect this particular Dhamma. They are assuming that Venerable Channa is going to do something bad, because Venerable Chunda and Sariputta still think that Venerable Channa is going to commit suicide due to the severe pain, and they wanted him to reflect the right Dhamma, assuming that he is going to end that idea of committing suicide. So because of the fact that Venerable Chunda tries very much, he comes up with this beautiful Dhamma. You consider, Venerable Channa, that if there is wavering mind, it is because of dependency. We rely on our happiness on certain things, we rely on certain material, then there is wavering of mind. But if there is no wavering in mind, it means strength is always there, then your mind is independent. When there is no unwavering mind, it means you have tranquility. With tranquility, you find no inclination to anything. When there is no inclination, you do not find anyone coming and going. And when there is no coming and going, there is no rising or passing of anything. And it means that there is no one to die, there is no one to reborn. And when you find no one to die and no one to reborn, that is the end of suffering. So think about it and try to bring a nice, explanation to beautiful Dhamma, beautiful experiences like this. When the Venerable Sariputta and the Venerable Mahachunda had advised Venerable Channa thus, they rose from their seat and departed. So that is the last piece of advice Venerable Sariputta and Chunda did, which is so profound, and they left. Soon after they had gone, the Venerable Channa used the knife. That is how the Sutta says. In the meantime, Venerable Sariputta and Venerable Chunda approached the Buddha and reported the matter that Venerable Venerable Channa has used the knife. I think on the way to the Buddha, Venerable Sariputta and Chunda knew that Venerable Channa died by killing himself, and then Venerable Sariputta and Venerable Chunda asked about the behavior of his mind at the last moment and if there is any future birth for Venerable Channa. Sariputta Buddha said, the Sariputta didn't the monk Channa declare to you his blamelessness? So, according to the commentarial work, the Buddha knew that this happened and he was reading Venerable Channa's mind so that Venerable Sariputta was reminded by the Buddha that, do you remember the conversation you both had with Venerable Channa? Isn't it Venerable Channa said that I have no desire on anything? Here there is a point. When we say I know senses and their respective flow to consciousness and things like that, it means you have covered everything. In other words, the Buddha talks about the world as Salayatana, or Salayatana as the world. So when you talk about Salayatana, you have covered up everything, physical and mental. So likewise, Venerable Channa was talking about non-self on senses, consciousness, and anything come through consciousness, which means everything, every physical and mental or otherwise. So then Venerable Sariputta said, Bhante, there is I heard that. Venerable Channa said that then it is said here that Venerable Channa was blameless. He committed suicide. The commentary says that when he was committing suicide, he was not an arahant, but at the time he committed suicide, he got the pain for his meditation, and at the time just before he died, he became an arahant. But this is controversial, and some people would like to say with facts that arahants even might commit suicide, but there is no dhamma to prove it. Anyhow, the commentary became so safe to protect the dhamma, like killing living beings and so forth. And it is said in the commentary that Venerable Channa, yes, cut his throat himself, not an arahant, but while he was cutting, and also before his confirmation of death, he was able to attain to full enlightenment and attain paranirvana as an arhat. So that's what the commentary says. Anyway, Buddha's confirmation is there that Venerable Channa did not do anything wrong, because he ended up his life as an arhat. So my interesting Dhamma is in the sutta is this part. When there is wavering in one who is dependent, there is no wavering in one who is independent. So very clear message. We become upset, we become disappointed because of some sort of attachment in us, in our mind. So we are dependent. We depend on certain things. That's why we become worried. But if we claim that we are independent, it means that we have nothing to worry. We have nothing to rely on. We have clearly cut ourselves from all these material and immaterial things. It means that we have ended very strong, unwholesome state in our mind. So continues. When there is no wavering, it means if your mind is solid, there is tranquility. When there is tranquility, there is no any possibility of leaning your mind towards attachment. When there is no inclination, there is no one there to come, go, sit, eat, and so forth. And when there is no such thing, there is no dying, there is no reborn. When there is no dying and when there is no the nature of dying and rebirth, there is no suffering. So this is a very, very nice statement, even to memorize the Pali one and also English one, either single one, and kept in mind for reflection. So that is the Channovada Sutta. And as I said, the advice is given by not the Buddha, but both Venerable Sariputta and Venerable Mahachunda. But it's just like the Buddha gave the advice, because the two monks were very eminent monk in the Sasana. So right now we can go to discussion. So take your chance to speak and bring very beautiful Dhamma. If I miss anything, you can add, you can discuss. So that is very helpful for the participant right now and even later on.
But I just have a question.
Yeah.
Now, both Venerable Sariputta and Chudna, they are asking questions about the eye consciousness, ear, and all that, the six senses. Then he says that, yes, he knows that this is not mine, this I am not, this is not myself. When he declared that, does it mean that probably he was not an Arihat, but at least he's in the third stage, I suppose?
That's a very good question. Actually, there is no any indication in the Sutta or in the commentary in which level of enlightenment he was in, but it's a good thinking that he would be somewhere in Palace, somewhere close to Palace state, either stage of enlightenment, because when he says with the severe faith that I have no desire at all with regard to my senses, consciousness, and anything that come through consciousness, he is knocking the door of nirvana, I think. I'm not sure of saying that, but it's a very good explanation, because closer to full enlightenment is the non-returnal level, and either he close to that, or maybe closer to other two stages prior to anagami state. I don't know, but I agree with your concern and curiosity that it could be. We do not know, because there is no indication at all in the commentary or in the primary source, which is called the Channovada Sutta.
Bande, can I come in?
Yeah, please.
Now this regards the sensory understanding. There is called stages before Sotapanna. There's called Saddhanusari and Dhammanusari. There are sources in Sutra. It says Saddhanusari is understanding, has only just an understanding how the senses work. Then the Dhammanusari has a little bit of wisdom on senses work, whereas the Sotapanna has completely understood, not understood, and can know and see. The first part is know, Dhammanusari and Saddhanusari is know, and the Sotapanna, you can see it arising and passing away, senses. So in other words, the Venerable Sariputta is checking whether he's stream enter in the first stage. Yeah. And the second stage, I think Mahachunda is checking whether he's an Arahat, because there's no attachment or anything. I'm not here, I'm not there, I'm not in between. Therefore, there's end of suffering. But he confirms that too, Venerable Chanda. But still, I think, so that's why he's allowed. I mean, that's the only person who's allowed, in a way, not allowed, has green light to commit suicide when you have become arahat, because there is no burden for anyone.
Yeah.
Because of the burden for others, they kind of do it because it's a hurt. He's in a lot of pain. Somebody has to look after him, and he knows that he's ended his suffering at this stage. Is an arahat. But obviously, the Mahachunda and Venerable Sariputta doesn't know because they don't have that Indriya Pariyatanani. So they go back to Buddha and report this. So I think the first part is about the sensory thing. I think they are just confirming he's a stream enterer.
That makes a lot of sense. Yeah. I think what Nimal Mahatmya asked is also, is answered by myself as well as Dr. Pial. And yes, if you look at the Sutta, Venerable Sariputta and Venerable Chunda wanted to know what exactly Venerable Channa did with the practice. As you said, when you question somebody with regard to senses and sensory experiences, we can know whether you are, which stage you are closer to. With regard to Netang Mama, Nesohamasmi, Nesomiattati, they are related to Sotapanna state, because at the attainment to Sotapanna, what you pull out is Sakkaya Ditti, Vichikicha, Silabhata Paramasa, wrong view and wrong practices and rituals and doubts. And by questioning about senses and sensory consciousness, as everything that come through sensory consciousness are regarded with these questions. So if you consider that this I is mine, it says that you have Sakkaya Ditti. If you say that I have kind of doubts about this, it means that you have Sakkaya Ditti. So when Venerable Channa says, I have no any thought of belongingness to my senses and sensory consciousness and other things relate to consciousness, it means that he has that essence in mind with regard to Sotapanna Phala. As you rightly said, when somebody questions about dukkha in such depth, it is some questions, it is some concerns about arahantship. So, nisitassa chalitang, anisitassa chalitang natti. So, if you have some sense of craving, attachment, your mind is going to wave. Your mind is going to break apart. But if you have no such things in mind, your mind is solid. This starting of questioning is about full enlightenment. So both monks, not having that particular jnana to check Venerable Channa's mind, tried to know what exactly happened to Venerable Channa's mind. I think they were in an idea of what exactly he was, but not sure. That's why, as you said, it's fine anybody to die himself or herself if they have done their duties in the Dharma, because you are not going to reborn in any place. So just commit yourself. I'm not admiring of committing suicide because it's a violation of our moral principle. Actually, one of the parajikas is marana vannang vasang anniya maranaya samadhapeya. So killing a human by a monk or nun, and also appreciating killing himself or herself is enough for us to end up our monastic life. So that I am very careful about it. I'm not admiring of killing anybody at any stage of life, but what I am saying is facts. So if somebody has crossed over this mundane life into a supramundane life, we can see that there is nothing happened even after death. For example, suppose a Sotapanna is having severe illnesses, pain is unbearable, and if he or she, kill himself or herself, they are not going to reborn in animal kingdom, ghost realm, no asura, no hell, status are there in his account, because he has ended that particular nature of his mind so that he might be a human or a divine being. So from argumentative point of view, we can see that you are not, it's better for you to die than living with this pain. But that's our view. That may be our view. We do not know what exactly those Sotapanna thinks about, because when he or she does not have that particular idea, I, me, and myself, he may be having a lot of patience, courage to bear that pain as well. And you know what? Only handful of monks, people die in such a way, due to the pain. But there were many people who bear that pain because they can deviate physical suffering, actually physical suffering, from mental concern. Because when you let go of greed, hatred, and ignorance into a greater extent, you can feel that body is painful, but not my mind is suffering over pain. Our mind is not having suffering over physical pain. That is the most important thing. So yeah, what you said is giving so much light on what the question asked. Yeah, we do not know which state Venerable Channa exactly was in when Venerable Mahachunda and Venerable Sariputta talks about, but both great monks wanted to check how he was doing in the Dharma, and it's proved for Venerable Sariputta and Mahachunda and ourselves that Venerable Channa was in a very advanced mental state when he was doing that. When he was talking to Venerable Chunda and Venerable Sariputta, he was actually touching upon the subtle level of Dharma, and he was knocking at the door of Nirvana. That's why he was able to pass away as an Arahant according to the Buddha's word. Is that making some sense?
Yes, Bhante, thank you for that explanation.
Thank you. Any more question or concern about the sutta?
The monks who went to see Lord Buddha asked Lord Buddha, where has the
Venerable Channa
been reborn in his next birth? That question was not answered, right?
The Buddha answered that question.
Buddha said that he died blamelessly.
You know what, Venerable Buddha know that Venerable Sariputta and Venerable Mahachunda are Arahants, and no need to spend time and words to explain further what the Buddha said there. Do I need to explain you further when Venerable Channa said that I don't have any desire on anything? Do I need to tell whether he was reborn or not?
Oh, I was
wondering it means that both great monks can understand what the Buddha said. But the Buddha simply said that Venerable Channa himself told you that he has no any desire for anything. But the physical pain is a problem. Physical pain is painful for any arahants. Even the Buddha said at the last moment of his life that I'm thirsty, I feel pain in my back, I cannot sit like you do, so let me lie down. So physical pain is always there. So long the body exists, there is physical pain. But there is no mental suffering or physical pain for arahants, because it's only a body for them. But it's troublesome for them. There is no need for them to bear that pain over and over. There is a freedom for them to, either by will or actually arahants pass away by will. They have will to end their Ayu Sanskara. We call in Pali or Sinhala, the Buddha Ayu Sanskara Atharya. It means that they have that willpower to end their life. It doesn't mean that they can kill themselves. For Arahants, they have that ability. So when they know that the physical body is now completely, broken into, no quality at all in this physical body, they are going to die. Actually, if they are able to see what exactly they did in the past, okay, karma, because even the Buddha could not stop karma for himself. He could, Arahants always ended new karma being arising, but they led the past karma to come into their life because there is no worry about anything happen to them.
Okay, thank you very much.
So I think the Buddha answered that.
Bhante, the question was, I think, why Buddha said that. I think it's blameless. When he say blameless, that means code word for he's an arahat, right?
Yeah.
He's blameless. He's not blameworthy for his death, pretty much. So just shut up, not shut up. Just say that's exactly what he's saying.
Yeah.
He's not blameworthy, meaning he's an arahat. That's a
Yeah.
code word.
Yeah, that's true. So when the Buddha answered in a short form, in an indirect way, he used the word blameless. There is no
Okay. Yeah.
there is
now I
no
understand.
wrong thing he did, because Venerable Sariputta on the way to the Buddha knew that he committed suicide. Somebody might come and tell Venerable Sariputta that Venerable Chunda passed away. So then they both went to the Buddha with the message that Venerable Channa died. So then Buddha wanted to tell these two great monks that he was blameless, which means he passed away as an arahant, so that no bad karma collected in his account. No, actually, karma is done that. When you attain to an arahant, no good karma, no bad karma is accumulated in your account. Everything. Kinang Puranang Navannati Sambhavang Viratta Chitta Ayatike Basmi. No past karma, no future karma, no present karma is there in your mind, so that Viratta Chitta, your mind is totally free from all good and bad karma. So that's why Venerable the Buddha explained to Venerable Sariputta he was blameless.
Blameless, yeah.
It means there is no rebirth at all for arahants.
Yeah, that's good.
Okay. Okay, any more concern on the subject? Isn't this showing us that we always see the impermanence on senses and sense consciousness? What if these words are too heavy for you? I would say simplify them. If everything we experience, if everything we see are impermanent, if you can think in that way, that is very nice, because these words, sometimes people hang on to words and are unable to get through to the right point of thinking with these words. So if these words are too tough for you, just go on a simple way, like when the Buddha said, when the Venerable Sariputta said, cognizable through eye consciousness. Anything that come through consciousness means everything you see, everything you hear, everything you taste, everything you smell, everything you touch, everything you think. And if it is too much yet, just simplify further. Everything you experience is impermanent. Don't find I, me, and myself in anything you experience. They are all impermanent. They are all practically, fundamentally suffering. Dukkha. They are all dukkha. So in anything and everything impermanent and subject to dukkha, Do you like to claim as you and myself and so on? I don't think so. So that is the line you and me and everybody could go if these words are too deep and academic and so forth. But those who can understand the terms very well with regard to personal experiences, it's easy for them. Otherwise, don't worry about these words. Don't worry about this systematic academic way of speaking. Just find the line through all these heavy things, and you may be able to. Because we are talking about tranquility. Being able to get tranquility into our experience could be done in different ways. And when your mind is tranquilized or concentrated or one pointed, the difficult things before might be very easy for you to think. Difficult subjects might feel so easy for you because samadhi mind might give you so much solace. So I think that way we can do a great job. So that's what I wanted to tell you right now. Since it is 10:09 p.m., I just want to end today's session because tomorrow is the full moon day practice for all of us. And I might think that you all engage with Dhamma programs tomorrow with anything you prefer. So it means that you continue a Dhamma practice. And I just want to tell you that if we reflect on the Dhamma in such a manner on regular basis, we feel that advancement in our mind. One area I always like to practice is, for my practice is, Shraddha, Virya, Sati, Samadhi, Panya, the 5 spiritual faculties. It means to me that there are 5 essence to develop, and I find the right tune of Shraddha, Virya, Sati, Samadhi, Panya in each practice. Some practices are more towards Shraddha, some practices are more towards Panya, Virya, and so on. So I believe that I experience that there are 5 containers in my mind, and I fill them all the time. I'm saying this metaphorically so that you can understand. So try your best to find the right tune of Dhamma in your day-to-day life, in your experience, so that you can slowly, little by little, develop them. So this kind of Dhamma facts being discussed is a help for you to encourage your Dhamma practice. So tomorrow there may be sermons and Dhamma discussion. Try to participate in. If not, meditate in your own. If you have a busy day tomorrow, it's fine. Just get into Dhamma in any activity, because you have a lot of Dhamma essence in your mind now. Being listened to, being a regular participant into Sutta discussion here with this, and also I know many of you associate a lot of nice monks and lay people who knows the Dhamma. So I think you have a lot of essence in your mind. So now we need to practice. We need to apply them. I think that's all I want to say at last. I wish may you have a happy Sunday with Dhamma. And if you have such practices, it brings you blessings. And I wish you, may you be well and happy and peaceful. As the Sutta says, may you do not find you in your activity, in mind, in body, so that you are in nirvana too. By that, I wish you, may you all be well, happy and peaceful. Sadhu,
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 sadhu, sadhu, sadhu.